Hi class, and welcome to week 2 of effective speaking. This week we're going to be talking about two topics that are really important. The first is knowing your audience. You need to be audience centered when you're preparing your speeches. And the next one is choosing your topic. So we'll be talking about both of those, and both of those will relate to everything you're doing going forward in class. So, audience analysis is a systematic investigation of characteristics that make your audience unique. Every decision you make about your speech, from your topic to what you wear, what you're talking about, will be guided by what you know about the audience and the situation. It is a necessity and your ethical responsibility as a speaker to appreciate your audience if you want to succeed. A term you might want to remember is egocentrism. That's the tendency for your audience to be interested in things that relate and matter to them. Audience-centered speakers are definitely the most effective. So, when you want to build speaking confidence, there's 4 things you need to remember. The first one is speaking competence. It relates to how well you communicate with others. The next thing is identity knowledge. This means knowing what is distinctive about an audience. Mindfulness is also important. This means being conscientiously aware of those distinctions. And then negotiation skill. This is the ability to respond to audience differences through sensitivity, politeness, willing adjustment, and collaboration. So, what do you need to know about your audience? There's 3 very important aspects that you need to know. The first one is attitudes. Attitudes are those things that your audience likes or dislikes. The next one is beliefs. Beliefs are those things that your audience believes to be true or false. Finally, the last one is values. These are things that your audience feels are good, bad, right, and wrong. So once you know that, then we're going to talk about what specific traits you need to investigate. So there's different personality traits, sometimes called demographics. I'm not going to go over each of these, but all of these you need to think about when you're preparing your speech. And they help give insight to what your audience cares about. Also, please beware of stereotyping. This is false or oversimplified generalizing applied to individuals based on group characteristics. So just really quick, think about the generational trends. There's a lot of different groups of individuals in our classes. Generational trends help you understand how age might influence your audience. People born before 1945, for example, are traditionalists. Between 1946 and 64 are baby boomers. My generation, Generation X, and then probably your generation, the millennials. All different generations, they'll help you understand how age might influence who you're speaking to. Another thing that you need to think about are what's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These are psychological traits. So psychological traits of your audience pertain to their needs and motivation. The first one, physiological trait, needs, food, water, air. These are basic needs for existence. Safety needs are the second. This is related to clothing and shelter. Social needs, they relate to the need to belong with others, while self-esteem needs relate to our strong desire for respect from others and to feel good about ourselves. Finally, the last one, self-actualization needs. They relate to personal identity, independence, happiness, and potential. Social traits relate to how your audience is affected by or identifies with other groups of people. There are social traits by choice. These are group associations, groups and people you choose to be associated with. And then there are social traits by birth. This is race, ethnicity, and culture. So if you think about the U.S. population diversity, think about this statistic. By 2050, our population will be considerably more diverse. What does that mean as a speaker? Well, as a speaker, you must be aware of and sensitive to diverse points of view. So that goes into the next thing I just want to touch on, Hofstede's value dimension model. It offers a helpful way to look at cultural tendencies and might help you adapt appropriately to other cultures. First thing that Hofstede talks about, high power versus low power. This refers to a culture's line of authority and responsibility. The next aspect is individualist cultures and collectivist cultures. This refers to culture's self versus group orientation. The next dimension, competitiveness versus nurturing. This refers to levels of assertiveness and competitiveness versus stressing relationships and quality of life. High certainty avoidance versus low certainty avoidance. This refers to comfortableness with differing levels of ambiguity. And then finally, the last one is long-term versus short-term orientation. This refers to present versus future thinking and planning. So when you think of Hofstede's dimensions of culture, think of people born on the western side of the globe versus the eastern side of the globe. How will you focus on your information differently? Now I want to talk a little bit about what do you need to know about the speaking situation. There's many different things that you want to think about when you're thinking of the speaking situation itself. So the first one, where will you be, the number of people to whom you'll be speaking, to create the needs for technology and other equipment. This is where the online classroom comes in. You are speaking with GoReact. So remember, you're going to need a webcam and a microphone, a little bit different than speaking in front of the classroom. What time of day are you going to be speaking? When? How long? That's what you want to think about too. How long I give you the specific time of when you're speaking? How long do you need to research? What is the relationship with the audience that you need to consider of the people that will be looking at the technology you're using? And finally, the occasion. Why is your audience gathered? What's the celebration? What is the different type of speech? Is it informative, persuasive? Is it a special occasion? That's everything that you want to be thinking about when you're putting these speeches together. So then how do you analyze the audience in the speaking situation? Well, the first thing you want to do is brainstorm. Consider what you already know and what your audience already knows. Think about this like an interview when you're preparing your speech. Open-ended questions require an answer beyond yes or no, whereas close-ended questions require a simple yes or no. How do you want to think about when you're talking to your audience, or when you're thinking about your audience to prepare your speech? I'm not going to go too much into this, but surveys sometimes are helpful. These are some tips for developing surveys. You might need to think about this for your informative speech and your persuasive speech. If not, though, you'll definitely be doing research. Research for the last two speeches will be imperative. So you want to be using credible websites from the internet, maybe brochures, magazine articles. These are all different forms of research you'll be using. So then, can you adapt your audience during the speech? No matter how much you know about your audience, unpredictable things can happen. Even though this is an online class, these are still good things to think about. External noise, environmental barriers, linguistic barriers. External noise can be you taping your speech to be put on through GoReact and then something happening. Internal noise is you. Psychological barriers, physiological barriers. Are you hungry? Are you tired? You got to think about all this stuff before you do your speech. And then the next thing you want to think about is the values, attitudes, and beliefs of your audience. So what do you need to know about your audience? Those are where the open and closed questions come in. Foster their attention, it helps you feel more confident, helps you make better speech decisions. So for example, do you smoke? That's an example of a closed-ended question. Yes or no. All right, so now that you've identified your audience, I'm going to talk really quick about selecting your topic. There are 3 steps to selecting your topic. There's identifying the purpose, creating an idea bank, and then selecting your topic based on those. So the general purpose is the unrestricted aim of your speech, which falls into one of three categories: to inform, to persuade, and to accentuate a special occasion. The first speeches you'll be doing in here are, the first three are informative speeches. You are the teacher. The next one, the persuading, that is, you're an advocate. And then the final speech in this class will be to celebrate a special occasion. So create an idea bank for each one of your speeches. Search for topic ideas on the internet, in print publications, websites. Then brainstorm. Just write an entire list down of things you can talk about. This will be good for your first speech when you're going to be introducing yourself. Maybe cluster, brainstorm, and explore your general purpose for all of those categories. Then you want to select your topic. Ask focus questions to yourself for your general purpose. Do some preliminary research before you can do the next thing, which is narrowing your topic. So when you narrow your topic, identify the speech purpose, identify the central idea, and then you want to evaluate the central idea and then create your outline. So how do you create your central idea? Here's some examples here of what to do. So you want to combine the general purpose, your audience, and your objective. The objective is the outcome of what you want to be doing. So then you can evaluate what you want to be doing. Evaluating, ask yourself, is it mechanically sound? How does this sound to you? Ask yourself, is it appropriate? And then you can create your outline. Remember, I give you a structure for each of your outlines. So just a few things you want to think about. 2 to 5 important ideas depending on the length of your speech. You're going to have main points, subpoints, categories that go back to your thesis statement. And then you're going to sum up these categories. So you want to think about the three elements: the general purpose, the audience, and the objective. So for example, a speech that would be persuading might have a general purpose for reinforcing the values. That's a little bit different than an informative speech. So what's the central idea? A central idea, you might have been told, it was also called a thesis statement. In your outline, I have it central idea and thesis statement. It's the statement that sums up all of your main points. So then how do you select your topic? Like I said, identify the general purpose, create the idea bank, and then focus on questions and your research. How do you narrow it? These steps can help you have a well-defined topic that will set you up for effective research. And then how do you create your central idea? This is the thesis statement. Okay, identify the special purpose, the specific purpose. The thesis will act as a preview. So the thesis statement should be previewing all of your main points. And then finally, after that, you can work on your working outline. You're going to start working on these next week. So hopefully this will help you think about what you're going to be doing in this class. I will give you an outline for everything you need to be doing in here. So the outline for your informative speech will be a little different than the persuasive speech, be a little different than the special occasion speech. So now what I would suggest you do is focus on the week 2 assignment and focus on the week 2 readings of what you're going to be doing for our second week in class.